Sands, author of Nature Spirit Messages. This book is partly memoir with stories from my very unconventional childhood and also learnings about vision, self-mastery, and spirituality. Each of the 12 chapters begins with my encounter with an animal in nature and the message that they brought to me. For instance, hawk, discover your soul's purpose. Heron, be true to yourself. Turtle, live simply on Mother Earth. And bobcat, become quiet through meditation. I'm very grateful to Thomas Berry, author and eco-theologian, for his wonderful endorsement of my book. Dear, dare to risk new adventures. Quietly we hiked through the woods in the state park by the lake. We had seen deer tracks and yearned to see the gentle creatures. The woods were so quiet. Spring was a whisper away. We rounded a bend on the path, hiked up a hill, and then we saw them across the gully through the trees. There were 5 white-tailed deer. Our lives were changing. One chapter was nearing completion, and we were ready for the new adventures. The deer showing up in our lives was like a gentle nudge. Deer told us to go ahead and risk the new. So we followed the deer into the wilderness and deeper into the mystery of the land within. I was blessed growing up by having a very unconventional mother. She was quite a character. She had grit and fortitude to deal with the pain of life. In my heart, she reminded me of Zorba the Greek because even in the hardest times, she danced to life and inspired others to dance. She was full of zest, hilarity, and love, and our childhood was filled with extraordinary adventures. Sometime around 4th grade, my mother met a beatnik jazz drummer named Bud Lee. He had a goatee, a slight potbelly, and wore a captain's hat since he had a 30-foot sailboat. He lived on his boat until he moved in with us and became our stepfather. I began my first year of high school living on a Native American reservation at Nia Bay, Washington, among the Makah Indians. Bud caught salmon for the cannery. We lived in a house with no plumbing, no electricity, no water, in the middle of a pasture with wild horses. My mother baked bread in the big black old-fashioned wood stove. It was glorious there. We hung out at Rosie's Cafe next to the water with the fishermen and listened to the beat of the songs Wipeout and Sugar Shack playing over and over again on the jukebox. I went steady with Buck, who was in line to be the next chief of the tribe, and I began to learn the stories and symbols of Pacific Northwest Native American spirituality. Spider, develop your creative side. Ruth left first to go home, but came back into the house in a state of awe. She told us to come with her outside to see the magnificent spider web, illuminated by the bright moonlight. We all went out and saw the biggest web I had ever seen, with a large spider in the center. The spider had built her web during our meditation, up high, across the entranceway to the building. I had learned about animal spirit totems when I was young, living with the Makah Indians, but always wondered how people discovered their own. And now, for the first time, the answers were being given to me. Spider's medicine, or quality of energy, is about creativity. Spider is the totem of writers. We knew that the spider was giving us a message from the world of spirit. It was time to open and expand our creativity, to give form to our inspirations. My mother had the soul of an artist. As a child, she played piano and learned to tap dance. As a young adult, she sang in a dance band. She was also a poet and a storyteller. Her stories were lush, full of detail, mesmerizing, and many times so incredible we didn't know if we could believe them. Often they were filled with humor, causing us to laugh hysterically. When I was 9 years old, we had the most remarkable Christmas. My mother was fighting cancer, the utilities were overdue, and finally the gas company disconnected us a few days before Christmas. We had no gas for heat or cooking. Fortunately, we had a big fireplace. Courageously, my mother met the challenge, creating a happy atmosphere on Christmas Eve night with a nutcracker suite and a cheery blaze in the fireplace. She wrapped potatoes and corn on the cob in aluminum foil and put them in the coals to bake. All 5 children began to dance to the happy music. We had a cozy feast surrounded by the smell of the Christmas tree and wood smoke. And after dinner, we drew pictures of what we would give each other if we could. Then we wrapped them up with last year's leftover Christmas paper and put them under the tree. That Christmas was one of the many times my mother demonstrated how to use creativity to release joy and transform life.